On November 27th, 2019, my friend and I logged on to Hypixel Skyblock for the very first time. Just like everyone else who finds Skyblock, we were just bored and we were desperately looking for something to do. What especially dragged us into the game mode was the collections and the ranking system. We quickly became fascinated about ranks and began scouring the Hypixel forums for any indication of who held the top spots. Eventually, we stumbled upon this post by a player named Pocketing, which was a community-run ranking system for every collection in the game. Our sights had been set, and on what other collection than cocoa beans? At the time, number 1 only had 10 million collected, so we knew that if we really grinded for it, we could get it. Over the next few weeks, we upgraded and upgraded cocoa bean minions in a desperate attempt to gain more efficiency. Being over 4 months late to Skyblock's release, it was safe to say that we had a little bit of catching up to do. About 2 weeks yielded unfortunate results. We only managed to collect a meager 100,000 cocoa beans each. Our dreams had quickly been dashed, and my friend lost hope. He quit the game not long after that. I, however, was not willing to give up. The game mode still had a lot of potential in my eyes, and I wanted to see it through. So, I began to stream the game live on Twitch. When I began streaming Hypixel Skyblock, I had next to nothing. I was very early game, and the only thing that I had to show for my wealth was a double chest of cocoa beans. So, basically nothing. As I entered mid-game, it became apparent that there was a specific part of Skyblock that I especially liked. Farming. I have a lot of experience in farming in Minecraft, and I've played on many farming servers before, so I'm very well versed in the art of building farms. After I built my first pumpkin farm, I came to realize that next to nobody used my design. Everyone either used no water at all or just wasted a ton of farming space with tons of lanes of water. This was a crime. In an attempt to educate the Skyblock community, I made my pumpkin farm tutorial, which if you haven't seen it, I'll go ahead and link it in the card on the screen now. I expected nothing to come of this video, but it actually did pretty well. Using my farm design, I managed to get all the way up to top 100 in pumpkins in no time at all. But I wasn't satisfied with this. So I kept farming and farming until, before I knew it, I had farming 50. At this point, around late August, I knew that my ultimate goal was possible. When I hit farming 50, I was already in the top 25 pumpkin farmers, and I was improving fast. This is the point where my fascination for farming turned into something more like an obsession. I was more determined than ever to achieve that sweet number 1 spot. But I had a problem. I had no clue who my competition was. Again, I took to the internet. On the Hypixel forums, I heard about this cool website called Skylamo that tracks players' stats. And more importantly, their collections. From there, I discovered the holy grail of information. Matt Does Dev. This website has everything that Skylamo has, except for it also has a built-in leaderboard system. I was bummed to find out that it didn't have a collection leaderboard, but not all hope was lost. You see, pumpkins are unique because they give the most amount of farming XP per block. Meaning, a lot of people at the top of the farming leaderboard on Matt Does Dev were most likely also the top pumpkin farmers. I found a couple of notable names at the time. Chrissy, Dubstep Clown, Enfismo, Epic Noob, Fury Master Z, Simon Kabza, and Yzu10. Armed with this new information of my competition, my spy work was finally underway. I used my friend to code a script for me that would run every night and record the pumpkin collections of anybody's profile who I entered into a list. I took that information and created a graph to better compare my pumpkin rates against other people's pumpkin rates. As the days went on, I began to feel concerned with what I had found. Before I started stalking people's profiles, I'd always assumed that the competition was tight and that there were a ton of active farmers. Oh, how wrong I was. After I completed my graph of September's farming, it became apparent that the pumpkin scene was dead. Chrissy had quit Skyblock in August, Dubstep Clown had also taken an indefinite break, and the rest just farmed until they hit farming 50 and then stopped. Meanwhile, I was getting an average of 315,000 pumpkins per day. It just didn't make any sense to me. Every other crop had a very active scene with many competitors fighting to take the top spot, but apparently not pumpkins. Despite my confusion and worries, I kept farming, and I actually managed to work my way up to rank number 5 in pumpkins. And when you farm as much as I did, you have a lot of time to think. So I tried to think of some possible explanations as to why the pumpkin farming scene seemed dead. When I tried to think of an explanation, I could only come up with 2. My first possible explanation was that perhaps because of the low drop rate that pumpkins have, it simply wasn't a rewarding crop to farm and so no one did it. My other possible explanation was more chilling. Maybe this scene was alive and well, but I just didn't know who I'm actually competing against. On October 1st, I got my answer. A viewer of mine named Country visited my island after one of my streams and said that he had something he wanted to talk to me about. I wasn't really doing anything except for farming pumpkins, of course, so I was down for a chat. He revealed that he had found 2 people that were ahead of me in pumpkins that, at the time, no one really knew about. These 2 were OitsDom, now known as IDK Dom, and Xylonox. At the time, I was ranked 5th, and I knew that the now inactive Dubstep Clown was ahead of me in 4th. I hypothesized that Xylonox was in 3rd based on his pumpkin count. This left IDK Dom, who was either in 2nd or 1st. I began to track their pumpkin collections using my script as well, and within just a day, it became quite apparent that the pumpkin scene was not in the slightest dead at all. Witnessing the rates at which these top competitors farmed was terrifying. In October, I was getting around 500,000 pumpkins per day. In contrast, IDK Dom was averaging about 1.2 million pumpkins per day. My competitors were getting so many pumpkins every day that I actually considered giving up. Every time the script ran, the gap was widening between me and that number 1 spot, and I really had no answers as to how I could ever catch up. By mid-October, IDK Dom had turned his API off and I could no longer track his rates. But at the same time, another development in the pumpkin world had arrived. Xylonox released his video called Skyblock, Becoming the Number 1 Farmer, on October 14th, and it contained more information than I could ever have asked for. Not only did he reveal that he was in fact number 3 in pumpkin collection, he also brought up a new name, Shabby. Shabby, in my opinion, is the craziest, most hardcore and dedicated farmer on the entire server. If I was terrified of the rates the others were getting, then I was absolutely mortified of what Shabby could do. But we'll get to him a little bit later. Many historical moments happened in terms of farming during the month of October. First, around October 15th, IDK Dom passed Shabby to become the new number 1 pumpkin farmer, which Shabby had held since early September. On October 25th, I finally hit 50 million pumpkins, which solidified me into the 4th place spot. Finally, the largest moment in pumpkin history happened, quite fittingly on the night of October 31st, Halloween. IDK Dom went live on his YouTube channel for a massive stream of pumpkin farming, where he became the first person to hit 100 million pumpkins collected. Then, IDK Dom announced that he was quitting Skyblock, which would allow me to finally catch up. While October was eventful, nothing could have prepared us for what was coming in November. On November 6th, the Farming 60 update came out. With new overpowered harvesting tools, an Anita farmhand upgrade, and 10 new farming levels to get, it became easier than ever before to get farming collections fast. Everyone scrambled to be among the first to get Farming 60, and I fortunately was one of those people. After just 5 days, I achieved Farming 60, and one day after that, I got a whole 30% farmhand increase from Anita's shop, making me one of the only players to have these stats at the time. In all of the chaos, I managed to outfarm Xylonox and took the number 3 spot on November 7th. There was hope once again. I was closer than ever to my goal of being the #1 pumpkin farmer. Coincidentally, on the same day, Shabi returned to farming pumpkins. He averaged 1.4 million pumpkins per day in November, leaving me in the dust with my meager 900,000 per day. I knew I had to step up my game somehow if I even wanted to hold a candle to Shabi. So I picked up all of my snow minions and created a tower of 28 tier 11 pumpkin minions with a farming crystal in the center. If I was really gonna be #1, I knew that I had to go all out. By this point, I was 100% dedicated to the grind. Every day I would farm pumpkins for hours on end. Some days it was the only thing that I would do. I made a promise to myself that no matter what, I would be the #1 pumpkin farmer by the end of 2020. To accomplish that, I wouldn't just have to get as many pumpkins as Shabi, I would have to obliterate his rates. Armed with my new farming 60 stats and my idiotic no-life commitment, I managed to rocket all the way to 100 million pumpkins and overtake IDK Dom for the #2 spot on December 9th. Even after farming like a madman, Shabi was still way too far ahead to meet my end of the year deadline. There was only one way for me to improve my rates further at this point, and it was hypercatalysts. I dumped 250 million coins on hypercatalysts, which gave me a 4 times resource boost in my pumpkin minions for 6 hours each. This was exactly what I needed. It was the missing link between me and that coveted #1 spot. At this point, I was farming for most of the day, every day, just to catch up. And it was actually working. Eventually, the fateful day came, where I would make the final push to overthrow Shabi and become the new #1 pumpkin farmer on Hypixel Skyblock. On December 30th, just 2 days before the new year, I manually farmed nearly 4 million pumpkins and collected an extra 9 million from my minions to achieve pumpkin rank #1. Okay. Now we gotta wait for the leaderboard to update. It might take a while, but we're gonna stick around for it. Here we go. Well, let's see. Let's go! That is a screenshot. Oh my god. Save. So there we have it. I'm now #1 in pumpkins. Everyone who makes these #1 videos always asks themselves why. But I don't think you need a particular reason to do stupid things like this. I just set an arbitrary goal and I wasn't about to let myself fall short of it. There were things that I would have done differently, however. For one, I would have used minions much earlier on. Also, I would have actually made another pumpkin farm so I could farm infinitely. Yes, you heard me right. I did this with only 4 farms, which is not close to enough to actually farm infinitely. Doing it this way actually made this a lot harder than it should have been. I was just too stubborn to build another farm, I guess. I don't know. I would like to thank Viva Wolf for starting out Skyblock with me and writing that stalking script that I had mentioned earlier in this video. He's a great friend and he helped me out a ton with this project. Also, I would like to thank Country for secretly supplying me with the juicy information on all of my competition. Also, shout out to Toxic Parents for helping me create and run the Elite Skyblock Farmers Discord. If you are a top farmer, go ahead and join the Discord that is linked in the description of this video if you'd like. There are rank requirements, so be sure to provide proper proof when applying, otherwise we just can't verify you. Finally, I want to thank you, the viewer. Whether you are watching the streams or you just stumbled upon my stuff for the first time today, thank you so much for supporting me and my channel. 2021 is going to be a massive year for this channel, and I can already feel it. We have only just begun. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys later. Peace.